President Putin, as he has recently repeated at one of his press conferences, had doubts, not immediately, but we thought and agreed. If there is a proposal, there is an agreement, then probably the agreed results were. President Trump, I don't see much of a secret, has said many times, including in Anchorage, this is our proposal. Yes, it is partially compromising, and we have accepted that these are compromising proposals. Any agreement, probably, should contain inevitable elements of compromise. But he added that Zelensky would do what he proposed. Well, he failed to do it, because, you read, I quoted, yesterday, Marco Rubio delivered a statement by President Trump in Alaska on the day of the press conference. Then, after he had already returned to Washington, for 3 days in a row, he commented in enthusiastic tones on the agreement in Anchorage. He said that we have practically solved everything. Maybe there is one question left, but there is a basis. These are our assessments. We absolutely worked from the same positions, based on the fact that if we accept what the Americans have proposed, it will allow us to stop the hostilities and sit at the negotiating table for a settlement. There are many details that are already related to the political side of the issue. Therefore, if Donald Trump's proposal fails, because Ukraine has said that it will not do anything, and because the European Union has said that nothing is needed in Anchorage, we went to Washington right after the meeting in Alaska and worked for a long time with the American administration. And now, after the July 7 summit, they adopted a declaration that fully supports Ukraine, including its territorial integrity. They completely ignore the fact that people who have been declared terrorists live on a huge part of the former Ukrainian territory, and who have now been called inhumane by the new head of DROPAT. And for these people, for this regime, the Seven wants to see the territory used to create hardship for the Russian people, who are now in the Russian Federation, in Crimea, in Donbass, and in Novorossiya. But if you look deeper, Macron publicly said that there is no more Anchorage, no more understanding. America is with us again. The acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Bigelow, said, "We have buried the nuclear deal." If this is the goal that the Americans share, what can we do? The President has said more than once that we prefer diplomacy and a diplomatic settlement. But we will achieve our goals under all circumstances. And one final comment. This high-profile, even contemptuous rejection of the American proposal does not happen in isolation. Zelensky is being supplied with weapons. He is being supplied with a huge number of drones, which he is using to try to undermine the stability of the Russian Federation by attacking civilians and civilian targets. To a large extent, this support comes from American assistance, not only because the Americans sell weapons to the European Union, which then transfers them to Ukraine, but also because the Americans provide intelligence data. Starlink is operating. High technologies needed on the battlefield are also being provided. Well, this is the situation. I repeat once again, we have a clear conscience. As the saying goes, a man's word is his bond. We said it, and we are ready. On the other hand, the approach has already been modified, but the goals set by President Putin in June 2024, as he has repeatedly emphasized, will be achieved.